Hello, welcome to Walk to Cinema podcast, where we walk to cinema so we can talk to cinema. And in today's episode, we're going to tackle our first Nolan movie in Memento.
Yeah, Memento is the story of a guy that has this condition where he can't make new memories. Like he has all the memories of who he is, what he used to do before
hmm
his accident, but he can't make any new memories
So
and
it's not amnesia, it's just short-term memory loss.
he's trying to find his wife's killer.
Yeah,
So he writes himself notes and reminders and takes photographs and things like that
gets
to
tattooed.
to jog his memory and to keep
Yeah.
him going.
So I think the biggest factor of this is not even the screenplay or the story, it's like what Nolan did with it. Doing the different timelines that meet up at the end, kind of.
Hmm.
And the story is going backwards in color and frontwards in black and white.
Yeah, but it's like the black and white part is technically like the beginning of the chronological
Yeah,
story.
and
And then
the color is the end, and then one goes back, one goes forward, so they meet in the middle.
yeah,
Yeah, and actually, I'm surprised I enjoyed this as much as I did.
I
I'm not a
agree.
Nolan guy.
Yeah, I'd have to say that this is probably one of his earliest films,
I
right?
think it's his first big film. It's his
Yeah.
first film with an actual budget,
Yeah,
but it's
and
still pretty low, under 10 million.
I feel like his like the way that this is shot is a little bit more I don't know what I would use, genuine, I
Mm,
guess, where it feels pretty gritty,
yeah,
and it kind of is reminiscent of one of his shorts that he did, or at least it reminded me of one of his shorts that he
mm-hmm.
did,
Doodlebug.
Doodlebug, yes. Not that they're really have anything in common besides that they were done by Christopher
No,
Nolan, but like I don't know, I still got the feel that he was still in his creativeness, like
yeah. It
those kind
still
of.
had to adapt to filmmaking more.
Hmm.
At this point, he's just working with big budget CGI flicks, and
Hmm.
that's all he does. Except Dunkirk, I guess.
Yeah, and I can definitely see that this came out in what, 2000?
Yeah.
Yeah. How the concept of having this kind of screenplay where it's written very pieced together,
hmm
I can see how that would have confused a lot of people because I did see that a lot of people turned down working on this project because they didn't understand the
I,
screenplay at
th- I
all.
think that's something that happens with Nolan movies that a
Yeah.
lot of people just are confused by them.
Hmm.
Tenet came out recently, and people are very confused by it.
Yeah.
I don't find it very confusing, really. Just a lot of jib jab,
Right.
a lot of like nothing. I guess I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't like Tenet.
But you like this one,
I
and
do
this
like this
one,
one. That's why I'm surprised
yeah.
because it was very enjoyable.
Yeah, and I did at first I kind of was like, okay, he's going back and forth between the black and white because it's like representing the past and the colors representing like the quote unquote present, even though we're moving backwards in time. But as you're watching it, you kind of see that it's more than just that.
Yeah.
It
No,
is,
it's pretty high concept what he's trying to do
yeah,
in general, but it still has a lot of Nolanisms. Is that what you call
sure.
Dead Wife?
Yeah, Dead Wife.
A lot of explaining what's happening to you multiple times just so you don't get lost.
Yeah,
Because I think he thinks he's smarter than you, so he has to explain himself to you constantly.
right.
I think that's the main problem, and the main criticism he gets for a lot of his movies, especially Interstellar.
Mm. Well, this one was like the most enjoyable one that I've seen
Oh yeah,
thus
yeah,
far.
I think so too.
Though I,
I don't know if it's his best one, but I think it's his most enjoyable one.
yeah, though I haven't seen a majority of
I haven't
his
seen
work.
his Batman work, but outside of his Batman work, this is I don't think it's his best, but it's his most intriguing work, really. I like the scale of it.
Mm.
Inception might be better, but it's just such a big scale that it kind of takes you away from it at times. And
Yeah.
this one is self-contained, that it's really enjoyable in that sense.
Yeah, and I something I did like about this movie is it did feel like you yourself were also trying to piece the story together
Yeah.
with the character, because there are like especially in the parts that are in the color version where we're moving backwards in time,
Hmm.
where we start at the end of the next scene's like
Yeah.
beginning. Yeah. So it's kind of like you are also experiencing what the character is feeling, because he forgets everything that's happened in the last, I don't know, hour.
It's like segments. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't really get a number.
So you're kind of like thrust into something that you don't understand, and then you kind of just go through
Yeah.
it.
I think a lot of people say that it going backwards with the color and frontwards with the black and white is Nolan putting you in the mind of the main character.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the color affects it as much as the going backwards,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to piece it backwards. This is not how you usually do it by memory.
Yeah, but you're also not going completely backwards, because it's not like you're
It's
seeing
not
the
in
things.
reverse. Yeah,
Yeah,
it goes. The segments are pieced backwards, but the segment itself
itself
is
is,
going front. Yeah.
yeah. And it's fun to kind of, see the things that are what is actually reality, I guess, in his mind, because in the beginning of the movie, which is really the end, it's the end scene technically. You think it's one sort of way. You think that it's his wife. He killed his wife's killer,
Yeah.
and then as you watch the movie, you're like, oh, this is him piecing it together, and then it's like, wait, the facts that he or the things that he knows don't seem to add up, and then you learn that certain characters are using him, or
Yeah.
certain
I think there's
characters
a lot
say.
of twists towards the chronological end of the film.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little annoying to me, maybe. It's the part where I was more disappointed that he kept just throwing twists at you.
Yeah. But the main character, he Leonard is doesn't remember anything after his wife was murdered.
Yeah, after what he perceives as his wife
Yes.
dying.
And so he throughout the course of the movie, he tells the story of a man that he knew called Sammy, who had the same type of condition,
Yeah.
and he ended up accidentally killing his wife because he couldn't remember that he had already given her an insulin
Oh,
shot.
was it accidental? Felt like suicide by her.
Well, yeah, it felt like suicide by her, but he himself accidentally killed her because she kept saying she thought he would stop because she
Yeah,
thought
she
it
thought he was
was
faking it.
faking, or
Well, she didn't think he was faking it as much as she thought he would come back to himself at some point because he loves her and it would be like instinctive.
yeah, but that's not how, like, I would say mental.
Well, it's also not the real story. This is
Yeah.
what Leonard is imagining.
Yeah, or at least what we think he's imagining, because the person that tells him that that was all made up and that Leonard was actually kind of combining stories to make him feel better about accidentally killing his wife, because at the end, Teddy, the man that he kills at the beginning,
Hmm.
which is really the end, before kind of like towards the,
That's the middle.
yeah,
The end is the middle where
yeah.
yeah. It's
So
confusing.
it's very confusing if you're talking about it, but the man tells him that Sammy didn't have a wife, and that Leonard's wife was the real one that had
Hmm.
diabetes, and his mind is just confusing him.
He's trying to eliminate these memories or trying to subvert them because of his guilt.
Yes.
Because he doesn't want to feel his guilt that he killed his wife.
Hmm.
So he imagines that his wife got killed by someone so he can kill that person and get retribution.
Yeah. And it's kind of difficult as the viewer to like determine what actually is real, because, up until that point, you don't really believe Teddy and his lies, because everything that we've
Yeah, he's been
seen,
conditioned
yeah,
not to believe him because that's what you know because you're in the mind of Leonard.
yeah, and we know that Leonard is an unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to determine like what actually happened, which is, not something that you necessarily need to know as the viewer to enjoy the movie. But
No.
it is something, I guess, to think about because you go from not trusting Teddy and not believing his character very much and finding out that he's not really who he says he is. He's a dirty cop and not just like some friend that's helping him. And, you know, going from that and then to the end where I think a lot of people take his word as gospel that
Hmm.
he did kill his wife, that they already killed his wife's murderer or his
Yeah.
wife's at least rapist.
The home invader.
Yeah, like it's interesting that like you go from not believing pretty much any word that he says to like taking what he says at the end as gospel, and that's the
Yeah.
true truth.
Well, that's also because it's a movie.
Yeah,
So you get to the end and you expect resolution.
yeah,
So you accept it as truth because it's the end of the movie.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I do like how it ends with him just accepting whatever, and now he's gonna kill Teddy.
Hmm.
I do like that. I do think
Yeah,
that was an interesting way to finish
it
it.
is interesting, and it also kind of, to me, it brings back to at least a saying that um, Leonard had been saying, where facts are facts.
Hmm.
And memories can be distorted and they're not really true facts. You can have memories, but if you don't have facts, then memories are no good to you. However, on his facts list, he kind of makes up the facts. He puts down that the fact is that his wife's murderer has the license plate
Hmm.
number, which isn't true.
But he tells himself that.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like it's kind of contradicting what he says. Facts aren't
Yeah.
necessarily facts, and if you had the memories, he would know that these aren't true.
Yeah.
You know? I found that kind of
Yeah, it's
interesting.
Nolan messing with time. He loves it.
Yeah.
They should get married and get a room.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, and you know, there are some things that I wasn't expecting. There was obviously stuff that I felt was kind of in your face obvious.
There was a lot of that, yeah.
Yeah, but it was still enjoyable.
Yeah,
Like
but
just because it was obvious
it
didn't
wasn't
mean
a
it was
perfect screenplay though.
no. But I think it would
And
be hard to kind of perfect the screenplay as well
yeah, and the
without.
budget also didn't allow for much more than what he did. He got the best he could, which was a rip off Brad Pitt. Yeah.
Which I did learn that Brad Pitt was up for that role, but he had to say no because of another.
I mean, you could guess that was supposed to be Brad Pitt just by the look.
Uh-huh.
The Guy Pearce
Hmm.
looks exactly like Brad Pitt. They made him look exactly like him. At least like a dollar store version of him with the bleached hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked very similar to him. Sorry, it's kind of distracting at some points. But would it have been better if it was Brad Pitt?
I don't know. I don't think
I
so.
don't think so either. I don't think it would have changed much.
No, but I feel like maybe it would have deterred from the actual like story, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it would be like a big actor, so you would want other things to happen,
Yeah.
not to look goofy, because some
Hmm.
actors don't like to look goofy. You look goofy at some point.
Like what?
Like we were laughing when he goes into the hotel room to sneak attack Dodd,
Oh
and he
yeah.
forgets it, and he just starts taking a shower.
Yeah, that was funny.
I don't know if it's intentional, but I cracked up.
Yeah, because the point was you first see the sequence where he's in the shower and then Dodd comes in,
Yeah,
tries to kill him. They have like a ensuing,
naked battle. Yeah.
yeah. And then, you know, you get the black and white scene that's going forward, and then we come back and we find out that he had gone to Dodd's room to kind of catch him off guard.
Yeah, but he forgot.
But then he forgets that why he was there and just finds himself in a bathroom and is like, oh, I guess this is my room and I guess I'm gonna go
Yeah,
shower.
because he had a bottle of J&B with him,
Yeah.
and he said, "I don't feel drunk,
Hmm.
but I should get a cold shower." And yeah, it was pretty hilarious. There was other parts where I laughed.
Yeah, like when he busted into the wrong room because he held the paper upside down, where he busted into room
Then he apologized. It was room
6 and
9. It was
yeah,
supposed to be 6, I think.
yeah, or the other way around. And I thought that was silly, and I wasn't like, I was kind of like, I don't know if this is meant to be funny. I guess it is.
Maybe. It doesn't matter if it's meant to. If it is funny, it is funny.
Yeah. And then just like some other tidbits about the movie, like there was only one sequence that I was unclear why it was included, and that was the sequence where he hires a hooker
A
or a
night lady.
lady of the
Hmm.
night to pretend to be his wife and to like put his wife's things around the room to like make it look like it's their room.
Hmm.
Maybe it was because he was trying to remember that night.
Honestly, I kind of didn't get that whole segment.
I didn't
But I don't think it
either.
was too important to the story.
No, it wasn't too important to the story. However, I do feel like since this is such a like moment-based
Hmm.
storyline where like it feels like every scene is supposed to be important,
Yeah.
it kind of felt out of place.
I think that one's on us, though.
Maybe.
I don't think that's on Nolan, particularly. At least I can't say it is because we don't know.
Yeah,
Because I guess we're a little distracted for a minute, maybe.
maybe.
Maybe I got
It
some
is
water or something and got distracted.
it is a movie that you have to be, I'd say you have to be paying attention to because sometimes even if you're paying attention, sometimes going back and forth between the different like timelines, I guess, and then also moving in a certain way
Hmm.
can get confusing because like I remember watching at some points where we were going backwards in time where I had to try really hard to remember what was the beginning
Mm.
of the scene before it.
I think the movie itself demands your attention.
Yeah.
There was no point where I didn't want to pay attention.
Yeah.
I was pretty locked in to figure out what was happening.
Yeah.
It felt kind of like a game in that sense,
Yeah, it did.
where I just, it wasn't even like I'm enjoying this movie. It was like I need to know how this connects.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
agree.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but it kept your attention. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
kept you knowing what's happening. Some movies you kind of zoom out
Yeah.
parts because you're not too,
Into it.
yeah, you're not too into it. This one, even if you're not into it, you still want to know what's happening.
Hmm.
So it kind of demands that you're paying attention at all times.
Yeah. Which good on him. I'm pretty sure that's probably what he wants his viewers to do is to be engaged and to be enraptured by the story
Yeah,
that he's telling.
this probably be a very fun watch in theaters.
Yeah. And I think it would be a good like thing to rewatch as well. Like
Oh, definitely. I think
this
this is the first Nolan movie I watched that I 100% want to rewatch.
yeah, I agree. This is something that I can see myself watching in a few.
Even though I've seen Dunkirk like a handful of times, just because I kept going back and forth my opinion on it,
Hmm.
so I had to rewatch it multiple. But this is different.
Yeah.
This is straight up I enjoyed it
Yeah.
and want to watch it and catch more details because the second time you're not as worried
About the plot.
about the plot, yeah. So you catch the details more.
Yeah. I agree. But so yeah, what were your final thoughts on it? What did you give it?
If numbers matter at all, I guess it was a seven, but a very high seven if that's a thing.
Mm.
That's seven's a seven again. But I think we're both considering an eight at some point.
Yeah, it was between a 7 and an 8 for me, and I did give it a 7 because I was like, maybe on the second watch I'd give it an 8,
Mm.
but for now it felt like a 7 to me.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, and then I guess like my final thing is like at the end we find out that he's willing to lie to himself about his wife's killer in order for that like brief sense of happiness and or
Yeah,
purpose in life.
and also because at that moment he knows that his wife wasn't actually killed by someone.
Yeah, in that moment.
Yeah, and then forgets obviously.
Yeah. So it's kind of like he's creating this sense of satisfaction by exacting revenge on this person in that moment that he knows he's going to forget later. So it's not like,
He knows he's gonna forget, and
yeah,
everyone that knows him knows he's gonna forget. So that's how he gets abused by some people into doing what they want.
yeah,
But yeah, overall, it's a very good effort for for your first big budget film.
hmm,
And yeah, I was very surprised, and I would definitely watch it again.
Yeah.
This is an outcome I was not expecting to say at the end of this episode.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about it either because I don't know. Sometimes I feel like like Nolan can be a bit too much into himself, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And I think he is too much into himself in this movie, but just later, after the success.
Yeah, but this one felt a little bit more like rooted in.
Yeah, but I'm just saying after the movie came out, and it
Yeah,
was already done, and he couldn't change it. I think the success kind of got to him
maybe
a little bit, a little bit. I don't want to criticize him; he did a good job here.
he did do a good job, and I do think that since this was early in his career, maybe that's why I like it so much because I feel like, especially with the lower budget, you're able to see his kind of vision more because he had to work with less. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no CGI.
Yeah.
You
There's no
just
big there's not necessarily any big action sequences in this either.
no, there's a couple, chase
Yeah,
and beatings, but nothing.
nothing
serious,
crazy,
yeah.
you know.
I think most of the budget went to the actors
Yeah.
because he wanted some recognizable actors, but he couldn't afford anything too big. Maybe Brad Pitt.
But, I think later on he kind of gets those big budget movies and then it kind of becomes more of a spectacle than like
Yeah, it's more diluted. It's
yeah.
more about him making it as big and confusing as possible.
Yeah. But this one was good, and I do recommend it for people that
Yeah, and if
haven't
this
seen
is
it.
successful, we'll talk about his other movies too.
But I think that's all for this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share if you can, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, rock on.